Hey everyone, welcome back to We Are Cosmic, the channel where we dive deep into the future of finance, cryptocurrencies, and the revolutionary technology that's shaping the world of money. If you're serious about understanding crypto from an expert perspective, you're in the right place. Today's video is going to be one of the most exciting ones we've ever done because we're talking about Ripple, XRP, RLUSD, and their integration with the US Federal Reserve, yes, the Fed itself. This is a story that goes all the way back to 2014, and it shows just how far Ripple has come in becoming a major player in global finance. Before we dive in, I want to make sure you stick through the whole video because the information we're covering is incredibly valuable for anyone invested in or curious about crypto. And if you find any value here, hit that like button and drop a comment below. It really helps support the channel, and I love hearing your thoughts. Now, let's start with some context. Ripple has been working quietly but steadily with the Federal Reserve for almost a decade. Back in 2014, Ripple began collaborating with the Fed to explore ways that distributed ledger technology, like XRP, could enhance the US payment infrastructure. Think about that for a second. XRP and Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD have the potential to integrate directly into systems that handle trillions of dollars every single day. That's not just theory. That's real-world financial infrastructure at a global scale. You might be wondering, how did Ripple get here? Over the years, Ripple has participated in faster payments councils, regulatory meetings, and strategic collaborations to ensure that their technology can coexist with traditional banks and the Fed. Unlike other crypto projects, Ripple isn't trying to replace the existing financial system. They're building bridges, not walls. This is a crucial distinction because it allows XRP and RLUSD to function within the rules, compliance frameworks, and infrastructure of the world's largest banks rather than outside them. To give you a picture of the magnitude, Ripple's interactions have included some of the biggest financial institutions on the planet: Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citi, Barclays, Visa, MasterCard, and even NASA. Ripple isn't just talking to these organizations. They're actively collaborating to modernize payments, improve liquidity, and make cross-border transactions faster and cheaper. And the Federal Reserve has acknowledged Ripple's protocol as a system that could safely coexist within the US banking ecosystem. Here's the kicker. Ripple is now moving toward obtaining a national bank charter through the Office of Comptroller of Currency, OCC. If approved, this would allow Ripple to custody client assets under federal oversight, which is a massive deal. RLUSD could potentially sit directly at the Federal Reserve, giving Ripple a level of integration and legitimacy that almost no other crypto project can claim. This isn't hype. It's the kind of strategic positioning that could shape the future of US digital payments. And yes, this also ties into broader developments like CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. The Fed is watching other countries like China launch digital currencies, which has accelerated their interest in wholesale digital solutions. Ripple could play a key role here, offering a system that is compliant, efficient, and capable of moving value seamlessly across borders. So buckle up. In this video, I'm going to lay out all the research, all the connections, and all the potential outcomes. By the end, you'll have a clear picture of why Ripple is not just another crypto project. It's positioned to be a central part of the digital transformation of global finance. Before we move on, I want to give a quick shout out to Smoke Dog, a creator on X who has been sharing great insights about Ripple and XRP. If you're looking for updates and analysis from someone in the space, check out his content too. All right, with that said, let's dive into the history, partnerships, and potential game-changing moves Ripple is making. By the end of this breakdown, you'll understand why XRP and RLUSD integration with the Fed could be one of the biggest stories in crypto for 2026. Now that we've set the stage, let's dive deeper into how Ripple started working with the Federal Reserve and other institutions. This story begins in 2014, when Ripple first began exploring ways to modernize payment systems in the US. Unlike most crypto projects that start outside the traditional banking system, Ripple chose a different path: collaboration. From day one, Ripple attended meetings with the Fed, worked on domestic payments projects, and started proving that their technology could fit into the existing financial system. One key initiative was the U.S. Faster Payments Council, FPC. This council brings together banks, tech companies, and regulators to advance real-time payment solutions. Ripple's Vice President of Global Account Management, Pat Thelen, has repeatedly emphasized that the Internet of Value is coming, much like how the Internet transformed communications in the 1990s. But this transformation isn't just about sending money faster, it's about creating a system that is secure, compliant, and scalable for global finance. Ripple's involvement with the Faster Payments Council included contributions to several working groups. These groups focused on cross-border payments, QR code payments, and directory models. Each of these projects aimed to improve the user experience, interoperability, and speed of payments. In other words, Ripple wasn't just theorizing. They were actively shaping the rules, standards, and infrastructure that would govern real-time payments in the United States. It's important to note that many other countries had already surpassed the US in real-time payments. Ripple recognized this gap and used it as an opportunity. By participating in these councils and task forces, they could position XRP and their stablecoin RLUSD as critical tools in the modernization of the US financial system. This wasn't just about crypto hype. This was about practical solutions that banks could implement immediately. We also need to talk about the Federal Reserve Master Account, which is a key piece of this puzzle. A Fed Master Account is essentially a settlement account at the Federal Reserve that allows institutions to hold balances directly at the Fed and access payment services like FedWire and ACH. Ripple's goal has been to integrate XRP and RLUSD into these systems. If successful, this would mean that Ripple's technology could process trillions of dollars daily in real time, right alongside traditional banks. The collaboration wasn't just theoretical. Ripple participated in the Federal Reserve Faster Payments academic research, exploring how blockchain technology could disrupt existing payment processes. Public case studies from the Fed even acknowledged that distributed ledger networks could be implemented relatively quickly, especially using cloud infrastructure. While these studies didn't explicitly name Ripple, they confirmed that the type of technology Ripple offers is compatible with the Fed's objectives. By 2017, Ripple's work had already attracted the attention of major global banks, including Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citi, Barclays, Visa, and MasterCard. At this point, Ripple was no longer an outsider. It was being recognized as a credible solution for banks looking to modernize payments. David Del Fato, a former Fed executive, publicly confirmed that Ripple's protocol could coexist within the U.S. banking system, highlighting Ripple's currency-agnostic approach. In simple terms, this means Ripple can process payments in multiple currencies, XRP, USD, yen, or others, without disrupting existing banking operations. Another key point is compliance. Unlike Bitcoin, which lacks KYC, AML, and regulatory compliance, XRP and RLUSD were built from the ground up to meet these standards. This makes them attractive to institutions that need speed, security, and regulatory certainty. For banks, this is a game changer. They can rely on Ripple's network for efficiency without compromising compliance or risking massive fees. Now that we understand Ripple's early collaboration with the Federal Reserve, it's time to talk about one of the biggest developments in Ripple's history, their move toward a national bank charter and the integration of their stablecoin, RLUSD, into the U.S. financial system. This is where Ripple truly separates itself from the rest of the crypto space. Recently, the Office of the Comptroller of Currency, OCC, granted conditional approval for Ripple to create a national trust bank. This is huge because it means Ripple will have the ability to hold client assets under federal oversight, something that most crypto companies can only dream of. In practical terms, RLUSD, the US dollar-backed stablecoin developed by Ripple, could sit directly at the Federal Reserve, becoming part of the official US payment infrastructure. Imagine a digital dollar moving alongside traditional dollars with full compliance and security guaranteed by federal authorities. That's a level of trust and integration almost no other crypto project has. This approval also aligns with Ripple's broader strategy of connecting crypto with traditional banking. For years, Ripple has maintained partnerships with some of the world's biggest banks: JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citi, Visa, MasterCard, and more. Until now, Ripple was somewhat on the outside, connecting indirectly through these banks. But with a national bank charter, Ripple moves side by side with these institutions, giving them direct access to Federal Reserve systems. This is a massive leap forward. Why does this matter? The U.S. processes trillions of dollars daily through the Federal Reserve. By integrating RLUSD into these systems, Ripple can provide banks and companies with a stable, fast, and compliant digital currency. This reduces reliance on slow traditional methods, decreases transaction costs, and ensures interoperability across all U.S. payment channels. Ripple isn't just a cryptocurrency, it's becoming part of the national financial infrastructure. Another important angle is global licensing and regulatory compliance. Ripple has positioned itself as a forward-thinking leader in crypto regulation, with licenses in the UK, Singapore, Luxembourg, Japan, Canada, and more. This global licensing strategy shows Ripple's focus on building a network that can operate anywhere. Unlike other crypto projects that face legal hurdles and uncertainty, Ripple has already cleared most regulatory barriers to operate globally. We should also consider RLUSD's role in institutional finance. Banks and financial companies need a stable digital currency that can integrate seamlessly with traditional systems. RLUSD, backed by US dollars and potentially held directly at the Fed, provides exactly that. Ripple's chartered bank allows them to offer custody, settlements, and transfers under federal oversight, which is incredibly appealing for institutional players. Let's talk about timing. Normally, setting up a national bank takes 12 to 18 months, but Ripple has decades of connections and experience with regulators. This means their National Trust Bank could go live as early as mid-2026, potentially positioning Ripple at the center of the U.S. digital finance ecosystem. For XRP holders and crypto enthusiasts, this could be a game changer, not just for adoption, but for long-term value and institutional relevance. Finally, think about the bigger picture. Ripple's strategy isn't just about U.S. adoption. By creating a banking-grade, federally compliant stablecoin and integrating it into the Fed, Ripple could influence digital dollar initiatives, CBDC strategies, and global cross-border payments. The potential for Ripple to serve as a bridge currency worldwide is enormous. This is why understanding their national bank charter and RLUSD integration is so important. It's not just technical progress, it's a strategic leap toward global financial transformation. Now that we've covered Ripple's national bank charter and RLUSD integration, it's time to explore one of the most important aspects of Ripple's technology, interoperability and cross-border payments. This is where Ripple's platform truly shines, because one of the biggest challenges in global finance is moving money quickly, efficiently, and securely across borders. Interoperability refers to the ability of different financial systems, currencies, and technologies to work together. Traditionally, international transactions are slow, expensive, and often confusing, especially when multiple banks and currencies are involved. Ripple addresses this problem by creating a currency-agnostic network that can settle payments in multiple currencies, XRP, USD, yen, or other fiat currencies, without friction. There are three main challenges in achieving interoperability, and Ripple tackles all of them. 1. Technical interoperability. Different banks and countries often use different systems and messaging standards. Ripple ensures that its XRP Ledger and RippleNet platform can communicate seamlessly with existing banking networks using ISO 2022 messaging standards. This standardization is crucial because it allows banks worldwide to adopt Ripple's system without needing to completely overhaul their infrastructure. It's one of the reasons Ripple has been able to integrate with so many banks and payment systems. 2. Liquidity management. Cross-border payments often face liquidity issues, especially when there is no direct demand between two currencies. Traditionally, banks need a correspondent bank or intermediary to settle these transactions, which increases cost and time. Ripple solves this with XRP as a bridge currency, allowing any two currencies to be exchanged efficiently. This reduces the need for pre-funded accounts in multiple currencies and enables real-time settlements at a fraction of the cost. 3. Policy and regulatory alignment. This is perhaps the most difficult challenge. Different countries have different rules around anti-money laundering, AML, counter-terrorism financing, CFT, and privacy. Ripple's platform is designed to adapt to these regulatory requirements, ensuring transactions comply with local laws while still being fast and efficient. They're also building a privacy layer on the XRP ledger to help protect sensitive data, which is critical for banks and institutions. When combined, these three elements allow Ripple to create a truly global payment system. It's not just about moving XRP, it's about moving value anywhere in the world instantly, cheaply, and securely. Banks and institutions benefit because they no longer need to rely on slow traditional rails like SWIFT for international transfers. A great example of Ripple's impact is how they helped upgrade global financial messaging standards. The SWIFT system forced banks to adopt ISO 2022 by November 2025. This upgrade made banks more compatible with networks like RippleNet, creating a ready-made infrastructure for digital payments. Ripple was already ISO compliant, which gave them a huge advantage in connecting traditional banks to digital solutions. Another important point is FedMaster accounts. If Ripple secures a master account, XRP and RLUSD could plug directly into the Federal Reserve systems. This would mean trillions of dollars could flow through Ripple's technology every day, making it a central player in U.S. financial operations. By combining cross-border interoperability with national integration, Ripple is building a platform that works for both domestic and international transactions. Finally, Ripple's approach allows for scalable growth. As more countries and banks adopt these standards, transactions become faster, cheaper, and more reliable. Ripple isn't just thinking about today, they're designing a network that can handle the future of global payments, including potential collaborations with CBDCs and other digital currencies. Now that we understand Ripple's technology and interoperability, let's zoom out and look at the global picture. Ripple isn't just focused on the US. They've been strategically expanding worldwide, securing licenses and partnerships that set them apart from almost every other crypto company. One of Ripple's major advantages is their forward-thinking licensing strategy. Unlike other projects that operate in regulatory gray areas, Ripple has actively pursued full compliance across multiple countries. For example, they have EMI licenses in the UK, allowing them to issue and operate digital money there. In Singapore, they have all necessary licenses to operate legally in the financial system. In Luxembourg, they've secured EU approvals. And in Japan, the team is fully licensed to run operations. This global compliance footprint means Ripple can work directly with banks and governments in multiple jurisdictions without facing legal roadblocks. Ripple's approach is very deliberate. They understand that to become a truly global financial bridge, they need to be trusted by regulators everywhere. That's why Ripple spends time building relationships with central banks, governments, and regulatory agencies. These connections aren't just for show, they help Ripple push for adoption of XRP and RLUSD as tools for real-world financial use, not just speculative assets. This brings us to CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. Around the world, countries like China are already rolling out digital currencies. The digital yuan is gaining traction, and the U.S. Federal Reserve has taken notice. Ripple's technology is perfectly positioned to help central banks develop CBDCs, especially wholesale CBDCs used by banks for large-scale settlement. Why? Because Ripple's network is fast, compliant, and can integrate directly into existing banking systems, solving many of the challenges CBDCs face, such as cross-border liquidity, interoperability, and compliance. Ripple could even become a trusted partner for CBDCs globally. Imagine a scenario where different countries' digital currencies can communicate seamlessly through Ripple's platform. XRP or RLUSD could serve as a bridge currency, allowing value to move efficiently between central banks, multinational companies, and global financial institutions. This isn't science fiction. Ripple has already demonstrated the technology and has regulatory approvals in place to operate at this level. The team behind Ripple is also worth noting. They've recruited top talent from banking, technology, and regulatory backgrounds. People with experience from JP Morgan, Visa, BlackRock, Google, Apple, NASA, and even the Federal Reserve itself are helping Ripple design, implement, and secure this next-generation payment network. This isn't just a small startup, it's a global powerhouse combining crypto innovation with institutional expertise. Now, let's connect this back to XRP and RLUSD. By integrating directly with the Federal Reserve and building a global licensing network, Ripple can offer stable, regulated digital currency solutions for banks and corporations worldwide. This isn't just a US story, it's global. For example, a company in Europe or Asia could use RippleNet to send or receive payments in RLUSD, XRP, or other currencies instantly and with full compliance across jurisdictions. Finally, consider the strategic timing. With global interest in CBDCs increasing and pressure on the US dollar from competing digital currencies, Ripple is positioning itself as a solution that both regulators and financial institutions can trust. By combining its technology, regulatory compliance, global licensing, and central bank partnerships, Ripple is creating a platform that could influence the future of global finance. Now that we've covered Ripple's technology, Fed collaboration, interoperability, and global expansion, it's time to look ahead. The big question is, what does the future hold for Ripple, XRP, RLUSD, and the US financial system? One of the most exciting possibilities is Ripple's potential involvement in a US digital dollar. We know that the Federal Reserve has been carefully studying central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, particularly after seeing the digital yuan's rapid adoption in China. There's growing concern in Washington that if the U.S. doesn't innovate, the dollar could lose its dominance in global trade. This is where Ripple could play a pivotal role. With a national trust bank charter and RLUSD integration, Ripple could potentially provide the technology infrastructure for a wholesale U.S. digital dollar, enabling banks to settle transactions efficiently and securely on a blockchain-based system. In this scenario, Ripple wouldn't replace the dollar. They would enhance its usability in the digital age, providing faster settlements, lower costs, and real-time tracking, all while remaining fully compliant with U.S. regulations. Ripple's integration with the Federal Reserve Master Account is key here. This would allow XRP or RLUSD to plug directly into the Fed's payment systems, giving Ripple unprecedented access to the core of U.S. financial infrastructure. This is something almost no other cryptocurrency can claim. It's not just about XRP being a tradable asset, it's about Ripple becoming an operational part of the financial system itself. Another important factor is Ripple's institutional credibility. They've spent nearly a decade building relationships with major banks, financial institutions, and regulators. This isn't a small network. It includes JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citi, Visa, MasterCard, and even NASA. Ripple has consistently demonstrated that their technology is fast, secure, scalable, and compliant, which is exactly what regulators and institutions need in today's complex financial environment. Now, let's talk about investor implications. For XRP holders, Ripple's continued integration with banks and potential involvement in CBDCs is massive. It means XRP isn't just a speculative token, it's a utility asset tied to real-world financial operations. If RLUSD or XRP becomes part of a federally recognized payment system, adoption could grow exponentially, and demand for XRP could rise significantly. We also need to consider Ripple's global strategy. By having licenses in Europe, Asia, and other key markets, Ripple is preparing for a future where cross-border payments are seamless. XRP and RLUSD could act as bridge currencies, enabling faster and cheaper international transfers while ensuring compliance with local regulations. This is especially important as the world becomes more interconnected and digital currency adoption continues to expand. Of course, there's always speculation involved. Some analysts believe that Ripple is laying the groundwork for a larger role in the U.S. financial system, potentially even collaborating on a Fed-backed digital currency. While this is not confirmed, the pieces are all in place: regulatory approval, bank partnerships, global licensing, and advanced technology. Ripple's track record suggests that they plan strategically and execute effectively, making this possibility worth considering. In conclusion, Ripple is no longer just a cryptocurrency company. It's a global financial technology innovator. With the national bank charter, RLUSD integration, Fed collaborations, and worldwide licensing, Ripple is positioning itself to reshape payments, cross-border transactions, and the future of digital currencies. For investors, this represents both opportunity and insight. XRP and RLUSD are not just tokens. They are part of a broader movement that could define the next decade of global finance. So as we move into 2026 and beyond, keep an eye on Ripple. Their strategy, partnerships, and technological innovation could make them a central player in the future of money, and understanding their path now will give you a clear perspective on what's coming next. Thank you for watching this 6-part breakdown. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to We Are Cosmic. We'll continue bringing you the latest insights in crypto, finance, and digital innovation.